Hello, my beautiful friends. I am so excited to offer this information, this piece of wisdom that I have learned across my lifetime to you. And it is a fascinating thing, or it certainly was for me. It was like a complete revelation to me that we can be playing all these unconscious character modes that are honestly addicted to drama and are addicted to blaming other, that are addicted to um, seeking the other to make them feel better, to soothe them, and to activate the stress or the charge that is currently around them, instead of us being able to go within to really feel what is our truth and to navigate the different feelings and sensations that are in our body. And so Stephen Karpman, back in the late 60s, early 70s, offered this transactional psychology model to his peers as a way of understanding, human societal relationship dynamics. And in the early 2000s, it was that David Emerald brought out the empowerment dynamic as the counterpart to that. And I certainly believe that there's a lot to look at and unpack within the two. And I really look forward to sharing it with you. And I feel like as I do, you're going to be able to understand that, like, honestly, over the last couple of thousand years, we've kind of been indoctrinated into accepting the drama triangle. If you look at our religious systems, political systems, educational systems, if you look at media, if you look at movies and storylines and plot lines, they all utilize the drama triangle because it's drama related. And what's so beautiful is that I feel like with the sharing of information and wisdom that we currently have through networks of communication and collaboration across the globe, that the empowerment triangle really has a much more solid foundation for activation in our communities. And I'm so glad you're here for that reason. And so this particular drama triangle, although I am presenting it from an action-based point of view, and that is obviously related to the different beliefs that we have about ourselves and the perceptions that we have of the world and the world around us, including others around us, I just also want to bring in an understanding that this is our nervous system that's dictating this. This is the analysis and the prediction of all of our past memories, events, and experiences from our own lived lifetime, but also our ancestral lived lifetime and the impact of the collective around us. So this is just the repetition, basically, of survival-based trauma patterns where there is that inability to be able to hold ourselves, soothe ourselves, regulate ourselves in a way that can really offer a sense of balance, even in the face of challenge and stress. And so somatic practices are a big part of the understanding of the drama triangle and the empowerment dynamic, simply because in each role, there is a different physiology that is available to us. We have different components of connection or not connection or disconnection to different parts of our bodies. And I really want to bring that to the forefront of your understanding before we dive in and look at the visuals. And so I did create some visuals to assist our understanding of what is going on in this beautiful, interesting dynamic that we're going to talk about first, which is the drama triangle. And you can see that down the bottom of the triangle is the victim. And what's really fascinating, also, I've written the initial conflict begins here between the victim and the persecutor, because the victim doesn't really start feeling like a victim until a persecutor or a villain comes into play. And you might think of that as a person, but I also want to point out that it could be like literally a dis-ease condition that that person is experiencing. It could be a natural disaster. It's kind of anything external to them that is playing that role of the villain, of making that person feel helpless, powerless, and hopeless. So there's that real poor me approach that this person can't really seem to move out of. They cannot see the opportunity. They cannot feel the opportunity. They do not trust the opportunity. They do not trust their own power, their own voice, their own expression. And the persecutor, if it was a person, comes along and is looking to aggressively blame that person, like it's your fault, you're to blame, what have you done, look what you've done. And so that obviously keeps that dynamic quite in play when someone's coming along, when you feel that level of disconnection inside of you and you're out of control, it's very hard to find your inner power when someone else is coming along and projecting on you. So what happens then? We have a rescuer, a hero who comes in to save the day. However, part of the rescuer's role is that they bring in with them, there's a condition to them rescuing you. They want their needs met in their own way as well. They want some attention, they want some reciprocity, they want something for what they're giving. They might not say that, they might not make that clear, but there's this unconscious need that drives them to rescue. Also, that saving of that other person allows them to feel like they're validating their existence here on earth. Like every time I come and fix this situation, every time I come and save this person, then I'm, that's allowing me to validate my sense of worth, because at the moment I don't have that sitting inside of me. I need to fix you and help you to make that validation and that sense of worth, deservingness, enoughness feel solid enough in that moment that I can continue to survive. And so in any dramatic, challenging, stressful situation, we can flip between roles. So you could imagine that after, a length of time, any length of time, intensity and depth of the rescuer being there to help or save the victim, and the victim doesn't want to be helped or saved, the rescuer could either turn into a victim themselves and say, well, this isn't fair. Look at all the things that I've been doing. I don't feel like this is right. And, woe is me. This is so hard and this is hardship and all of those other, statements that could go along with that. Or that rescuer could turn into the persecutor. Like, this has been going on for so long. I can't believe you've done this again. This is just the same thing that you do over and over. You're a drain on the life, just pointing the fingers and being aggressively blaming and controlling the dynamics of that person. And so the persecutor then can end up being a victim themselves if they also feel like no one's listening to them and nothing's changing. And they also can move into, I'm a victim. I do so much for other people. I always try and hold my strength and I always try and make things right and no one really cares. And so you can imagine, again, that this is just happening in so many different dynamics all the time. And people are literally seduced by the drama that ensues in each one of these drama triangles that's created. And so the issue being that we're never meeting our underlying needs. We're never truly accessing the truth of the moment and the undercurrent subconscious and unconscious patterns that are playing out our survival-based behaviors. And so this is where confusion and upset and basically polarity escalate. People can be feeling so far apart from each other, and that inability to connect, that inability to harmonize, that inability to create coherence means that solutions are no longer the focus. That sense of separation is the focus. And when we're separated from others, we are truly separated from parts of ourselves. Yeah. If you think about, we are the universe inversed. So everything inside of us is really everything outside of us. It makes sense that we'll have different parts of us that feel fragmented at different times. So, when we feel disempowered, there's a part, we're not all of us are disempowered, but there's a part of us that feels really disempowered. There's a part of us that's not using our voice. There's a part of us that's not using our strength. There's a part of us that changes the physical structure of our body. When we're a victim, we tend to change our posture quite a lot. There's a lot more inflammation that comes through on a physiological level of the body. If that's a typical pattern for the body, we have a whole lot of changes that start happening in our cartilage and our tendons and our joints and our ligaments and our muscles. Literally our physical structure starts to change. For each of these roles, there is a physiology that comes along with it. The persecutor, the villain, because they're holding so much of that fight, sympathetic nervous system drive. There could be a lot of tension through the jaw and the neck and the shoulders and the hands. They are really, ready to go. They're braced. And the victim and the rescuer would move between that fight and flight and fawn response as well. So, yeah, there is a lot to navigate when it comes to the somatic understanding of this, because most of us haven't learned what to do with that charge that comes up. Like, this situation has arisen and it could be really confronting. It could be like, far out. I feel like my whole world has just been swept sideways. And so inside of our body, there's going to be different sensations, different feelings that arise. Most of us have spent most of our life navigating our way out of feeling that. And we haven't really been supported into understanding that there is actually safety inside of our body rather than unsafety inside of our body when it comes to sensations and feelings and emotions. And so part of moving into the empowerment triangle, which is the next piece of this particular puzzle, is understanding the somatic-based safety that you can create in yourself. And so in this, the triangle is inverse and making a beautiful macabre symbol. Like there's so much going on in a quantum frequency level with the wholeness of this as well, with the recognition of this, with the traversing from dark to light, from negative to positive, the balance between the masculine and feminine energies, and that yin and the yang. So all of this is happening within the drama triangle and the empowerment dynamic and the resolution and the harmonizing that we find between them. So the victim has now moved from the bottom of the triangle to the top of the triangle as a creator. So as a creator, what do we have access to? We have access to understanding that the universe has our back, that we can trust the situation that is unfolding is literally a gift for us, that there's opportunities here. What are the opportunities? How can I innovate? How can I problem solve? Now, to problem solve and innovate, we have to have access to our prefrontal cortex. We don't have access to that when we're in a full-blown stress response. We will be a victim in a full-blown stress response. And again, this is where the physiology is really important, the capacity to feel and understand the situation inside your own body and to build into those layers of confidence that come with practice. And so the villain moves into the challenger. So instead of blaming and shaming, and using fear tactics, basically, they are able to assertively challenge the dynamics of the situation, and they are looking for growth. They are looking to evolve the situation. It's like, okay, this is unfolded. I can see that there's some gaps here, here, and here. What do you feel about taking action steps on these points? And creating some collaboration and community around that, and understanding that it's not just that, independence, there is an interdependence to create harmonization, connection, and unity. And so the rescuer does move to the coach, because the rescuer is no longer just saving people and just fixing people and also doing that without asking. The coach is here, same as me when I'm coaching people, is here to not just offer solutions, but to create inquiring questions, curious questions, to allow that invitation for that person to notice, where can I take more ownership of this situation? What is more available to me when I switch perspectives, rather than being told to have this perspective and you need to go over here and you need to follow, this checklist, like this is what's going to fix you. The things that fix other people might have fixed that initial creator. However, what often I find is if you're following a checklist, you are also blindsiding the truth of your own authenticity, your own intuition. And so the coach is aware that people have access to their own intuition. They have access to their own source energy, their God, their gratitude and their dynamicness in any moment. And there is that gratitude for self, for understanding that I'm here with the wisdom and the information that I have, and I can offer myself as a support, as a mentor, as a guide to others without pushing myself on them. And so again, we get to move between these different dynamics in the empowerment dynamic. So moving from creator to challenger to coach. And every time that we notice, we ourselves might be playing a role in the drama triangle. So if we were the victim, if we were the villain, if we were the rescuer, like how are we now navigating our own awareness of ourselves in the moment? And it's not about the awareness necessarily of the other person. That maybe can help you as you begin to navigate this process. But it's those moments where all of a sudden you realize your truth. I have given my power away. I've given my voice away. I've blunted or stunted my expression. And I'm blaming others for this situation. I'm blaming others for feeling disempowered, powerless. the thing that we have the most power over, the only power over, is our response to life. We get to choose our response to life. And we get to have a deeper understanding that everything that we view outside of us comes from inside of us. As I said before, we are the universe, the one verse inversed. And that once we inverse, it creates diversity. Yeah. Like we have duality, we have polarity. And it's always up to us to find these axes of harmony. And so in other teachings, I definitely do talk about tracking your own nervous system, tracking the somatics in your body, talking to different parts of you so that you can navigate that inner conversation between that part of you that feels scared and unable and potentially powerless, and the other part of you that's like, trust, we have got this. And those parts of us can live inside of us harmoniously if we can just accept and allow them and encourage them to harmonize, encourage them to not be so polarized. Because if a part of us that feels really polarized and disconnected and fragmented ends up kind of taking over our physiology and our psychology, we start acting in ways that are really disconnected from the truth of who we are, because it's just one tiny part of us. Whereas if we can bring in this understanding of all of our different dynamics, then we are powerful, yeah? I hope you can feel that. And so the truth of these drama triangles, the empowerment dynamic, is when you come back to your creator, source, essence, this is the essential foundation for living your best life. And in any moment now from watching this training that you get to have an understanding, when you get to witness and observe yourself playing a certain role, you have the choice and the awareness to dance into the next role, to move into the next role with conscious intention. And that intention allows your attention, which is your energy, which is your vibration, then to allow a manifestation of something different, something that you yourself are choosing for you. And so this is an empowerment dynamic, is regulated, an internally regulated system, and a system that can self-soothe, that is self-soothing in a way that is empowering, that's not related to self-sabotaging or protective-based mechanisms, that is aware of the healthy dynamics within. It is constructive because of that. Because again, we have access to more parts of our body instead of different parts of our body feeling contracted or withheld or denied. We have access to all of this quantum information flowing through us, and this is your God power. So it is empowering. It does breed resiliency. The more that you practice the empowerment dynamic, the better at it you get. Just because you know about it now doesn't necessarily mean you get to, and you can download it in this moment of right now. This is your truth now. And yet you might need to practice the physiology and the psychology of moving into the creator, challenger, coach roles more and more often. And this is outcome-based. This is also journey-based. This is a journey. Although the outcome is destined to be positive in the empowerment dynamic, positive in the way that challenges can be overcome and met, but also knowing that we're just going to move on to our next challenge. Yeah. The one thing that is true about life is that there's always movement between entropy and syntropy, chaos and order. And so as we move from negative to positive, there's always going to be that dynamic, rhythmic flow, that cyclical flow back into another situation, another pattern, another movement. And what you might also find in your, say, 5 strongest relationships is that you might notice that you have a particular gateway that you open first. Like you might notice that every time I'm with this person, I move straight into victim role, or I move straight into rescuer role, or I move straight into persecutor role. So start having a look at, with an inquiring mind, a curious, open mind, a compassionate mind, at your closest relationship dynamics, or the relationships dynamics that you find the most challenging to find harmony in at the moment, and start unpacking the role that you are currently playing. Place your focus and emphasis on yourself rather than the other, because this is your self-mastery game. This is your self-responsibility game. This is your self-accountability game. You are the only person in charge of you. You are the only person that has the perspective that you yourself create. And you are the only person with the beliefs that you have, the values that you have, the ethics that you have. And although you can find commonalities in our communities, You are carrying your unique DNA and your unique epigenetic imprint, your unique microbiome. There is not another person alive that has your fingerprints, your eyes. You are so special. You are so unique. And the more you live in the truth of who you are, the more you activate this world in powerful ways. Boom. So let us celebrate our understanding of the victim, persecutor, rescuer roles, and then how we can flip that over and move into the creator, the challenger, and the coach roles, and find these outcomes that satisfy us, that fulfill us, that keep us on mission and on purpose in this world, that keep opening us up into the beautiful flower of our soul. So much love to you. Thank you.